All right, well, I'm Alex with the Comic Book Historian Podcast. Today we have Jim Cheung, which we're really grateful to be interviewing. Jim, how you doing?
Great, thanks for inviting me.
So, Jim, tell the audience about your childhood comic book influences. You've done a lot of work for both Marvel and DC. What kind of comics did you read as a kid?
I read pretty much everything I could get my hands on, I think. I started out reading Marvel books, but then I discovered all the DC stuff. But at the time, I pretty much grabbed everything I could off the shelves.
So, did you read also things other than Marvel and DC, like Warren magazines and things like that? Or was it mostly like superhero stuff?
It was mostly superhero stuff because that's what I could get my hands on. Because I grew up in the UK, so all the Warren stuff wasn't really available to me at the time.
So then, with the superhero stuff, were you more of a Marvel guy or DC guy, or maybe you just liked it all?
Because I'm currently working for DC, I would say I'm pretty neutral, but Spider-Man is my favorite.
There you go. There you go. So now, who are artists that you looked at and were inspired by when you were reading those comics?
I love John Byrne growing up, and I love John Romita Jr. and all those guys from that period, I think. I used to be able to just pick up a Marvel book or a DC book, and because I spent so much time looking at them, I would be able to tell who drew what instantly. Yeah.
So, like in the 80s, you're pretty much doing all this, reading those comics in the 80s then?
Absolutely, yeah, that's how old I am, yeah.
So then, how'd you get into the comic book business?
I just kind of almost fell into it. I mean, I knew how to get into the business, so I just produced samples like they told us to, and luckily enough, it got put in front of the right people, and from there, it just kind of just went from there, yeah.
Around what year was that when you entered the comic book business?
Oh boy, it was like the mid-90s. Yeah.
Good. And so then, tell the audience what stories you did for Marvel, and then also what projects you're working on for DC now.
For Marvel, I've done pretty much everything from, I started off doing like the teen Tony Stark story, to X-Force, to Young Avengers, to some of the crossovers like Infinity. Pretty much done a lot of that stuff. And right now I'm just focusing on doing a lot of DC stuff. So right now I'm in between projects at DC, so I'm just doing a lot of covers for them right now. Yeah.
Well, I love what you did with Justice League. I mean, that is really beautiful work. I think a lot of people, when they see those pages, they're just blown away.
Thanks very much. Yeah, I put a lot of effort and time into it, and I really wanted to make an impact on my first introduction to those characters. So, yeah, but it's been fun.
Yeah. And I also noticed you have no problem doing team books. You can pretty much just draw everybody on that page. Is that daunting at first, and then you're just used to it, or was that pretty easy from day one?
I think I just got used to it, just from over the years. They just keep adding more characters, and really, when you're doing a solo character, it's not really a solo character book because there's always so many background characters. So I just got used to juggling characters on the page. So yeah, it's kind of second nature now.
Well, we're really grateful for the discussion today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks very much.